Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. If you are an ardent user of social media apps like Facebook, Instagram, you would have been pretty aware about the meme called as Flora Man, where the meme says type Flora Man and any particular date followed by it and something crazy would have happened on that particular day. I don't know if the people from Florida are crazy or does it have anything to do with Florida even. In today's video, we are going to talk about such a Florida man who is known as CARL TANZLER. The story of CARL TANZLER can be described in so many different ways: appalling, horrifying, petrifying, crazy, romantic. So many people describe it so many different ways. Without any further building of suspense, let me dive into the story. CARL TANZLER was born in Germany but worked in the United States as a radiologic technologist. It was one of his work days where he met a beautiful American Cuban woman who was dark haired, and according to his visions, she was the one who was destined for him. She goes by the name of Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos, and she was brought there by her mother for examination as she was suffering from tuberculosis. He was madly in love with her from the moment he saw her. But there were a couple of problems with Carl's story. Number one was he was already married and he had kids as well. Number two, Helena was literally dying because tuberculosis was quite fatal back in the day. We are talking about 1930s here. And number three being, there is no proper evidence that Helena too shared the same feelings that Carl had for her. Knowing that Helena was dying, Carl took an oath that he would save her life. He thought his knowledge over medicines could surely cure her. Even though she belonged to an affluent family, Carl went to the extent of getting her parents' permission to set up X-ray machines and other electrical equipment and closely monitored her health conditions. But her death was quite inevitable, and at the age of 21, she sadly passed away, leaving Carl broken and very disturbed. He went to her parents and offered to pay for her funeral completely, and also when she was buried, he personally customized her tombstone. And after that, he regularly visited her cemetery for almost 2 years every day. Every night he used to go sit in front of her tombstone and talk to her. Things get a little disturbing from here, at least for me. A lot of people find it very romantic. I do not know how, but one particular day when he was talking with her, in the words of CARL TANZLER, he states that her spirit told him to take her away from her grave. And that's exactly what this madly in love guy did. He dug her corpse out, rolled it, put it up in his wagon and took it to his house. After taking her to his house, he literally tried to fix her body. He used coat hangers and wires to keep her skeleton intact, whereas he used wax and plaster of Paris to fix her decayed skin. After fixing her body, he wrapped it up in silk stockings and other clothing material, whereas he used glass eyes for her eye socket and used a wig of hers to cover her head. He used a lot of preservatives and perfumes to cover up the stench, and also he used other preservatives to take care of the decomposition of the dead body. He started a whole new life with her, casually living around, eating, sleeping, and also taking immense amount of care for the corpse. For almost 7 years, this man's entire private life revolved around his dear beloved corpse. Until Helena's sister heard a rumor that this man has been having a private life with her sister's dead body. When she confronted him with the authorities, the police officials did recover her dead body from his bed and they immediately placed him under arrest. This news immediately became so viral and it became bizarre that it was reported in every single local newspaper, and people were so baffled to hear his story and they didn't know what to make out of him. Some called him crazy, some called him a psychopath, some called him a hopeless romantic. He was so famous as he was dancing with her corpse in front of a window, and for 7 years it was his regular life. The story became so popular that they put Elena's dead body in a public display and more than 6,000 people viewed it. And after that, she was buried in an unmarked place fearing that Carl would once again come looking for her dead body. Carl Tanzler was put under medical evaluation and there was no reports of him being abnormal. He was just a normal person and he was set for trial in the court, but he was never imprisoned or sentenced for whatever that he had done. Even though years later there were claims saying that the autopsy reports of Helena mentioned and proved Carl's necrophilia. A couple of years later, he moved to Florida and lived with his actual wife. She, understanding his condition, actually supported him because he was still in love with Helena and his crazy obsession did not stop there. He made a real life effigy so that he could live with Helena for the rest of his life, and Carl eventually passed away in 1952. And here is a twist in the tale. By the time of his death, it was mentioned that he was holding the effigy of Helena, whereas his obituary said something else. There were also claims stating that Carl Tanzler did his best and he was successful in transferring Helena's organs or her dead body, and he spent the rest of the life with his dear beloved corpse and even passed away while holding it. So hey guys, that's it for the story of Carl Tanzler and his dear beloved Helena. Throughout the making of this story, I was in a constant dilemma whether to call the corpse of Helena as it or her, because to me personally, his story is a whole different level of insane obsession. So what are your thoughts on him? Do you think the man's a psychopath? Do you think he's crazy, or do you think his story is very romantic? I leave that to you. Please leave your thoughts down in the comment section below and do the official honors of the YouTube. And until I see you again, goodbye, take care and stay tuned.
I'ma take it.